They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
All right, the Super Bowl kicks off in about 2 hours, so I'm gonna have to make this video about as fast as I can. That way I can get out of here. But I hope everyone had a fantastic time watching the game, because this will be uploaded in the morning. And to keep myself accountable, I'm gonna give my prediction on what's happening with the Chiefs at 31 points and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 24. I think it's not going to be a close game the entire way, though. I think the Chiefs get out early, and maybe we see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kind of come back at the end to make it seem like the game was closer than it actually is. Maybe this take ends up horribly wrong. It'll be funny to watch this in the morning regardless, but I hope you all had a great time watching the game. I mean, obviously, the Super Bowl is one of the best sporting events, if not the best sporting event throughout the entire year. And yeah, here we're not going to talk anymore about that. Let's focus in on these fantasy basketball leagues. Let's focus in on about 5 or 6 players that I think we need to be going out there and aggressively targeting in trades. Now, some of these players are going to be prototypical buy lows. Some of these are going to be players that you can get at a relatively large discount compared to where they were being drafted this offseason. And a few guys on this list, I couldn't help myself. I had to throw someone in at the very end that he's going to cost a lot. I mean, he's going to be at a premium, but he's so exciting that I think it's time to go and trade for him regardless. And yeah, before we get into it, if you have not already, drop a like on the video. Go down there, leave a comment with any trade question that you have, as I will be making a video answering those comments, I believe possibly in 2 days. And lastly, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And let's get into this. Let's start it off with our first player, who is going to come at a very small discount compared to where he was being drafted this offseason. But if you're going to get any kind of a discount on a player of this caliber, I think we need to be going out there and trying to do so. And this is Karl Anthony Towns. And here with Karl Anthony Towns, y'all know I was not necessarily targeting him in the first round of our drafts this offseason. I preferred another big man later on in the draft in Nikola Jokic, and Jokic has been on fire. And this is going to be the 3rd time that I recommend making this trade before it's too late. And I know every single time I recommend this trade, y'all go down to the comment section and you go, Mason, you're crazy. You can't trade Jokic regardless of what you are getting in return. And I'm saying, guys, if you can take Jokic, you can trade him for Karl Anthony Towns and then possibly another player that's going to be on this list later on. I think that makes a ton of sense. I mean, if you can get an impact player on top of Karl Anthony Towns, that is going to be very beneficial to your overall team. I mean, if you could trade a Kevin Durant, if you could trade any of those big name guys for Karl Anthony Towns, if that owner, for whatever reason, is just out of patience with him, because we know that this has been a player that we've been saying is going to come back any day now for about 10 days. I mean, he has been dealing with COVID still, but if you look at the most recent quote by the head coach, they're saying he's progressing. He should be back very, very soon. And I think this is something that honestly we should have expected. We should have known this. I did not come out and say it was going to happen, but I should have. With the Minnesota Timberwolves, they really have no incentive to go out there and to rush Karl Anthony Towns back. We know that this is going to be one of the worst franchises in the entire NBA, if not the worst franchise. So with their star player, they're definitely going to make sure that he is 100% good to go before they bring him back. But once he's back in the rotation, he's going to be automatically a top 5 player in fantasy basketball with the elite production he's giving you in blocks, points, rebounds. We know he's also going to be giving you more assists and more 3-point shots than other big men. So that is what makes Karl Anthony Towns so appealing. We know he's a lot younger than some of those other players that are going to be seeing that much production per game as well. So yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, if you can get any kind of a discount on him, I would definitely look to do so. And now our next player is going to be someone that has been rising throughout the season. And this is going to be Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. And obviously an extremely young player that we've talked about, I want to say probably 5 or 6 times this season, just because I love his game. I mean, watching him play the game of basketball is probably one of my favorite things to do. He is just so dynamic and so electric on the court. And he's really a lone bright spot on an Oklahoma City Thunder roster that has a ton of draft assets available in the future. And I think they are going to be building around Shea. But we're not talking dynasty here. Let's just talk about 2021, where he has taken that step up. I mean, if you look across every single statistical category, I mean, Shea has been an impact player. We know that with these young studs that their teams are trying to develop them, they're going to be playing a ridiculous amount of minutes. They're going to be playing almost every single game because their bodies can handle it. So always, that is one major benefit of taking these young guys that should see the heavy usage in their rotation. And right now, Shea, I mean, from the field, he's shooting 52%. He's okay with this free throw percentage at the same time. So in those category leagues, he's not going to kill you. And in those point leagues, he is giving you a ton of production with nearly 2 threes a game, 22 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists. I mean, he's also giving you a steal and half a block. So Shea is a player that it doesn't matter if you're playing in a point league. It doesn't matter if you're playing in a category league. He is going to be at a premium. And I am of the opinion that if we are looking at two players with similar production, we should always go with the younger guy. I mean, the younger guy generally is going to be less injury prone. The younger guy is going to be more willing to play back-to-backs. So that's why Shea, I think, is someone we need to be aggressively targeting in trades, because he still has the upside chance to continue to develop his game. And we know the Thunder roster really has nobody else to go to. So I think we are going to continue to see him be an impact guy. All right, so now our next player that we are going to talk about is going to be Brandon Ingram. And here, not only is Brandon Ingram on fire in 2021, but at the same time, I mean, Lonzo Ball is looking like he is going to be traded off this Pelicans roster. I mean, really, Lonzo does not fit on this roster in any way that makes sense. If you were looking at what they were trying to do with Zion on the floor, Lonzo, I mean, I think is going to be a lot more impactful on a team like the Warriors. I mean, there are so many different rosters that he can play a better role in. And if Lonzo is gone, we are going to see Brandon Ingram stop working off ball as much, and he's going to see the ball in his hands, I want to say, significantly more, just because if you look at the other pieces on their roster, I think that Brandon Ingram would be the most likely guy to take the ball up the court. And right now, I understand the efficiency isn't necessarily sky high, where he's 47 for the field, but from the free throw line, he is giving you a great percentage. So it doesn't even matter if you're playing in those category leagues, because Brandon Ingram is going to balance you out there. And for those point leagues and also for the category leagues, I mean, he is giving you very similar to our player before, 24 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 5 assists, half a steal, and a block a game at the same time. So here with Brandon Ingram, I mean, if Lonzo Ball is traded, I'm going to be expecting literally his points, rebounds, and assists to all go up. Maybe his efficiency goes down slightly just because opposing rotations would be able to key in on him a little bit more. Lonzo Ball wouldn't be able to hit him as easily in transition. But because of the entire change in the scheme of this team, because of the head coaching change, I mean, here, they're not going out in transition nearly as much. They're not pushing the pace of play. So I think Lonzo Ball would fit a lot better on a separate team, which would open up a ton for Brandon Ingram. All right, so now our next player is one of the most polarizing players in the entire NBA. And he's been very bad as of late, but I'm going to recommend him as a buy low. And this is going to be Michael Porter Jr. And now here with Michael Porter Jr., I will say that I am willing to trade for him specifically in category formats, because he plays so much off the ball that his efficiency is naturally going to be a lot higher than some of these other players. I mean, right now he's over 50% from the field. We know that he's always going to have a very good free throw percentage, and he's giving you 3-point production. He's giving you 15 points a game, 6.5 rebounds. But what's also great is, while I know, yes, I mean, he's not giving you assists, he's at least not turning the ball over. And that is just because he is more of the catch and shoot guy. He is more of the player that is just out there to get buckets. He's not trying to do anything too special. So with Michael Porter Jr., I mean, he's also going to give you those defensive statistics because of his large frame, and he's not going to give you any turnovers at the same time. So even though he has been bad as of late, if you look at who he has been going up against, I mean, his last few games have been against the Lakers, the Jazz, the Spurs, and the Miami Heat. I mean, a lot of those teams you do not want to be going up against, as they have some of the best defenses in the entire NBA. So here, Michael Porter Jr., I think we buy the dip, understanding that he truly does have elite level upside, especially if the Nuggets decide to go out there and trade him to a team that may not necessarily have a ton of talent right now, and they want to build around Michael Porter Jr. for the future. Then I think we could see his usage rate jack up in whatever offense he's going to. All right, so now our next player, I advocated for you to buy him low a while ago, and it has not worked out yet, but I'm going to stick by this, and it's going to be DeAndre Ayton. And now, with DeAndre Ayton, while yes, he was a player that I did not like drafting this offseason, I mean, it's going to be very similar to some of these other younger players that we talked about, and why I think we should be going out there and buying him. And while I know a lot of people have been hit with the harsh reality that Ayton is not going to be the point scorer that many people expected. I mean, he's not going to be giving us 25 points a game, even with Chris Paul coming in and giving him nicer looks around the basket. Specifically in a category league, I think DeAndre Ayton is going to be very appealing because he's going to give you decent defensive statistics. He is going to give you a very high rate from the field. And this is the one thing that a lot of people who play in point leagues have been disappointed with DeAndre Ayton. And that's instead of going at the basket, instead of attacking every time he gets the ball, he's been very selective on when he is putting up those shots. And that has led to close to a 60% field goal percentage from the field. So for those category leagues, he is going to be very nice there. And he's going to give you okay free throw percentage, a lot better than most people would expect. And then we know he's going to be elite with rebounding, with close to 14 rebounds a game and close to 15 points a game at the same time, not killing you with assists, at least getting you to a game there. So DeAndre Ayton, very young, a player that still has a ton of room to develop. And at the same time, because he is very young, we know that he is going to be playing almost every single game. He's not going to be sitting in back-to-backs. So Ayton is a player that I would like on my roster. Okay, so now our last player that we are going to talk about is going to be very hard to trade for. And I am speaking to only the people that are playing in leagues that maybe it's just with your friends. I mean, you're playing with guys who don't really understand what's going on. They are not looking at this every single night. Here, you're going to be trying to trade for Lamelo Ball. I mean, right now, Lamelo Ball is taking that legit next step to being an impact player in fantasy, where he has 6 straight games with over 30 minutes, which is something that you definitely want to see from those rookies if you're going to be determining to put them in your starting lineup. And with those games where he has the minutes in the rotation, while LaMelo has not necessarily looked fantastic on defense for a strictly NBA perspective, we know for fantasy, it doesn't matter. I mean, he is giving you 22 points a game. He's giving you close to 3 3-point shots made a game. He's giving you 5.5 rebounds. He's giving you 6.5 assists. And while he's not the best defender, he is racking up steals because he is so aggressive on that side of the ball. I mean, LaMelo Ball right now, it looks like he could be a league winner down the stretch if he continues to trend in this direction. So if you're playing in a league where someone may not be paying attention, well, yes, it's going to cost you a little bit more than it would have a month ago. I think now is the time to try to trade for LaMelo Ball. All right, now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps us out. And yeah, that's it. I will see y'all with the video tomorrow.